I think one of the things with answers in ChatGPT is they really try to be they give you that broad, wide-ranging answer. I think the one thing it doesn't really account for and doesn't answer is the fact that we really do need to differentiate, and it doesn't account for local context, local needs. And I think that that's what we're also seeing in our global case studies, which is that, yes, having large language models is going to be useful in different fields and in different industries, but you really do also need that local adaptation.
Thank you for joining us for Wise Conversations today, Mirka. Today we will have a little bit of a fun format of the interview. I'll ask a question and then we'll ask the same question to ChatGPT. And we would love to hear, based on your research and your insights, how would you evaluate ChatGPT's responses?
I love it. Let's do it.
How is AI changing the skills students need for the future of workforce? It's a very utilitarian question. Yes, it's really giving itself a lot of positive
Absolutely, it's giving itself a lot of positive reinforcement and credit. I mean, I agree with a lot of it. I think in our 7 contexts, we did find that AI literacy is what's really important. And I think the only thing I will say is it really does differ by discipline. And that's one of the differentiating factors we found. What AI literacy looks like in the humanities is quite different than what it looks like in STEM fields. So that's the one area I would say. We definitely saw that there is a larger increase in looking at creativity and critical thinking. Definitely, we looked at these and talked about these as transversal skills, meaning that those are skills that you can really bring with you no matter what discipline you are focusing on. And then, yes, of course, ethics. I mean, I think one of the things with answers in ChatGPT is they really try to be they give you that broad, wide-ranging answer, and so they can't quite get it wrong.
I think it's according out, according in, depth, processing.
Exactly. I think the one thing it doesn't really account for and doesn't answer is the fact that we really do need to differentiate, and it doesn't account for local context, local needs. And I think that that's what we're also seeing in our global case studies, which is that, yes, having large language models is going to be useful in different fields and in different industries, but you really do also need that local adaptation, and I think that that's critical, and I don't see that in their answer.
Definitely, and creativity is an interesting one. It's a little bit counterintuitive to think that AI tools would always lead to more creativity. What do you think is maybe drawback sometimes of or relying on AI tools based on research?
Yeah, I mean, so when we asked faculty and students around it, I think the area around creativity was just thinking about different ways of really approaching a topic, approaching a research topic, for example. Being able to use AI for brainstorming. I do think that that's a very valid tool, and I think it's one that we saw across. If I'm starting a research report, I as a professor, I'm always saying, you're hitting that wall, right? You can't quite get your ideas on paper. So what are some ideas? I think AI is a great tool, and generative AI is a great tool to actually get you to get those ideas flowing. So there is a creative factor there. I think it really is when we bring to it really what am I now adding to the picture, right? So now that I have these ideas or a couple of ideas to start, how am I now going to take this to the next level?
And it's interesting as a part of human learning as well, and developing that muscle of creativity and potentially over-reliance of AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
What challenge do universities face when integrating AI in the programs?
I would anticipate there will be something here about just literacy, faculty literacy. I think ethics for sure, and regulation is another big one I would anticipate being put here. yeah, let's see what they say. I'll actually give it quite a lot of credit for saying the uneven digital access. So this is something in our case studies. So we had case studies across 7 locations. And in there was India, Ghana, the US, Spain. I mean, really looking at different world regions. And particularly India and Ghana looked at kind of the digital divide and looked at, well, you know, if AI is going to be an effective tool that we're all going to be using, do we actually have parity in terms of access to AI, right? And just like we have been having discussions for decades about access to education, well, now we have this added factor, which is actual access to internet, access to AI as a tool. So I think there's an added dimension here around kind of digital access.
Right. And what would you say is something that surprised you in the research? I remember when I was skimming through it, there were very interesting statistics about how different countries stack up in terms of adoption and resources that they have put in, and what has been one thing that surprised you in those results?
So I think one of the things, and it's in the Spain case study, is that they actually did as a case where they integrated AI into a curricula with a number of professors, and they actually did a critical thinking assessment of students before the AI integration and after, and they actually found that critical thinking went up.
Oh, wow.
And I think that this is a really fundamental finding, because throughout all of the case studies, there was this big question. And I think we see that even today, which is, does AI kind of enhance critical thinking, or does it actually diminish critical thinking? And so I think their case was a really important one, and I hope that we have more research like that in the future, which is, okay, so if AI is integrated into curricula, and I should say, I mean, it was done in a very methodical way. It was not done ad hoc, which right now a lot of the AI integration is ad hoc. But when the faculty were given training, when the curricula integrated it in a meaningful way, when the students knew how it was being integrated, they actually found that their own critical thinking skills, their own ability to use AI to enhance their work actually improved. And so I'm hoping that we have more research like that, because I think it really takes us to that 2.0, which is, okay, we're now going to begin to integrate AI into our teaching and learning. Let's do some more research around what the outcomes of that will be.
And it will be very interesting in terms of longitudinal studies.
Yes, exactly.
Would you expect the same effect to continue as students get more and more involved?
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm kind of wondering about, and I think it's what everybody's wondering about. You know, we had in the studies, I mean, you probably saw some of the quotes in the report. You know, you had those faculty who are saying, you know, this is great and I'm going to use this, and you have faculty who really are very resistant to AI, to change. You also have a lot of trust issues around faculty and student use. We had one faculty who was kind of saying, you know, well, the students don't even use their brains anymore. They're just kind of, you know, allowing AI to say all the answers for them. And I don't know that that's quite true. I actually think another thing that was a takeaway for me is I sometimes feel that the students were actually more alarmed and more kind of cautious than the faculty were. So I loved it. I mean, I think that just shows that we're all in this together, and we're all kind of trying to navigate through some new waters.
Definitely. Let's move to the next question for
right.
ChatGPT. How can universities ensure AI adoption supports, not replaces, human skills?
So one of the things that I found fascinating across all 7 case studies is that in every single one, higher education continues to be incredibly important. The university experience is a fundamental one for students. And I think with the advent of AI, we have an opportunity to really rethink what the university experience is. We have a lot of faculty who are talking about how they really want to enhance that human learning aspect. They want to be able to spend more time with their students, not be burdened by administrative tasks, which now AI may help them with. So I think it's really rethinking what the university experience is, how faculty can now really be great mentors to what students are preparing for in an AI-enabled world.
And in a way, it's like Internet 2.0.
Yeah.
Similarly to an advent of having all the information online, people would think that that replaces the role of education, but if anything, it became an enabler.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's also looking at, what are the opportunities? How can faculty be, again, kind of mentors? How can they ensure and how can they teach students to be, ethical users of AI? And so there is a really, really critical role there.
When we hear AI talk about empathy and how it understands empathy.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things, they are pretty good answers. I'll say on the third one that we learned about this as well. Faculty really can also use AI to differentiate and to see what their students need. So again, another great tool, but again, does not replace, it really is really meant to enhance the teaching experience. So I do think that that's there. I think how I always interact with ChatGPT and other kind of AI tools is, seeing it as another tool in my toolkit. And it is helpful. It does not replace my answer, but it allows us to have a discussion about it. And so actually, even what we are doing today is a way that a student and a professor could engage, right? What do we prompt AI? What does AI give back? What do you think about that? Do you trust it? How do we find source material for that? Oh, that's actually a great idea. Those are some great ideas. Let's talk about these. Do those make sense to you? I think that there are really ways that fundamentally we can actually use AI to augment the university and the teaching and learning and that relationship experience.
Right. And what do you say about AI describing different values like empathy? How does research approach that subject? And would you say there is a little bit of dissonance when hearing things like AI talking about empathy when it's based on training data, most likely outputs?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where I think we know that we need to continue to have this human interaction, and I think that is an area where I think, especially for students, especially for those who are, really thinking about how they want to interact with the world. I think having faculty, having that higher education experience to figure out how to, react to answers like this can really be additive and
Yes.
Can actually get us to a place where, again, AI does not replace but enhances.
Definitely. Pretty good answers so far.
Pretty good answer.
Getting in hard time. Let's move to the next question. What future of international education should young learners be preparing for now in the age of AI?
Okay.
So this is a little bit of a future prediction question.
I think the one thing I always find fascinating about just the prompts and the answers is they're so catered. It slips in certain buzzwords or certain area, integrated learning and adaptability and, digital fluency, lifelong learning. And that's where sometimes I see really LLMs kind of because it is taking from what are some of those, what words are coming up, what words are really buzzworthy, right? And that's where it becomes a little bit too generic for me, a little bit too. In the United States, we sometimes say cookie cutter, like everything. I would actually even say that across the 4 questions we asked, we got slightly similar, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Slightly similar answers to every single question.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves me with this, there is certain, there isn't enough, I guess I would say, colors in the rainbow. In terms of the answers.
Yes, and definitely it only took the approach of seeing the positive sides of the change that could potentially come with AI disruption and so forth, especially talking about workforce and education.
Yeah, that's actually true. You're absolutely right. I think we certainly in our case studies, it was much more of a mixed picture, I would say. I think we had much more of a mixed picture around the potential benefits, but also really some of the critical challenges that we may be facing in terms of a future of education where that is very AI enabled. And I mean, certainly challenges not only around the environment and sustainability, but also challenges regarding labor and how kind of what will be the workforce of the future? How will we ensure that livelihoods are equitable and that we have livelihoods across different industries? So I do think a lot of these very fundamental questions came up that I wouldn't necessarily see in an answer.
Right. And it also was interesting to see distinction between education and work-related training.
Yeah.
Because definitely that could be an important aspect of how we adapt to changing the environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go for the last question.
Yeah.
What global student mobility trends stood out this year, maybe in your research?
Sure, we can go with that one. Okay, well, I'm going to finish out by saying that I'm surprised by this answer. I'm surprised by this as the one answer that really stood out. I think that there are many other trends that are happening, particularly geopolitical trends. So again, I wonder whether ChatGPT is being fairly careful here. I think it's what we've been kind of seeing, right? It's quite positive. It definitely focuses on programming. Whereas there are other trends that I think are, really stood out this year in terms of some of the restrictions that have been put up on global student mobility trends. I think that, it's very interesting to see how it answers.
Right, and this version does have access to internet, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. And what would you say are some of those trends that stood out to you in the research? Maybe top 2 or 3 trends?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's happening is that there's a lot of focus on how AI is coming into the picture, both with global student mobility, both on higher education campuses. I think what's really critical is to focus not only on how teaching is happening, how learning is happening, but how it's happening in the global context and in global realities. And I think that is one of the trends, which is that we're not living, we are living in a global world, and I think we're being very influenced and impacted by global events. And I think we see that. We see that in terms of AI integration, but I think we're also seeing it in terms of geopolitics, for example. So I think all of that is kind of coming together at the same time and is influencing a lot of the research that's coming out right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Mirka. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure, and
Yeah.
it was very interesting looking at some things ChatGPT misses, some things it gets right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's exactly similar to what our research found. And I think one of the greatest examples or quotes I had from the text was when we were speaking to one of the faculty, actually at HBKU. And she said, I envision that in the relationship of a teacher and student, we will not be 2, we will be 3. It'll be us and AI as an enhanced tool. And I think that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because I think there was an openness to that, right? And I think that there was also this understanding that, yes, we can use this as a tool, but it's not replacing the relationship
Right.
that we create.
And it's very interesting, as you are mentioning, that we're very used to asking AI questions. But I found that when we ask AI to ask us questions to clarify our message or our views before we prompt it, we get a much better and more specific response. So
Yeah.
that two-way interaction is definitely something that will stay moving forward.
Exactly. I think it will, and I think it's helpful. I do generally think that, it will allow us to think differently and to have different perspectives. And I think it can also enhance, again, a relationship between a teacher and a student in creating a path and an opportunity for that discussion to happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right,
See you next
thank
time.
you.